Hi, my name is Ken Weber. My wife Sally and I moved down to Buckeye, Arizona 5 years ago in 2020 and retired. And now I have an opportunity to tell my stories. It's important to tell your stories so that your kids and grandkids know who you were and what your life was about. And I want to probably start with when I got saved as a young Christian living in Durango, Colorado. My high school biology teacher and I were arguing about evolution versus his train of thought as a Christian. After class I stayed, and next thing I know, I'm on my knees behind his desk doing the sinner's prayer. And for a couple years, I walked around with friends trying to find a church I wanted to join because that seemed important. And all the youth groups were about, here's the rules we have, you don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, we'll try to have enough fun to make up for it. And that just wasn't Christianity to me. That was churchianity. And so I finally went with a friend to a Pentecostal church, and this message in tongues and an interpretation scared me, but I got talked down off the ceiling about that, and I stayed, became a Spirit-filled Christian, met the girl at that church, married her, moved to Denver, had 2 girls, raised them, and had a great time in a good church up there, grew a lot, learned a lot. And one of the things I told God when I got Spirit-filled is, you're doing things, and I went in on what you're doing. Don't leave me out of what you're doing. So he showed up in my whole life, and so I've got a couple of those stories to tell you. When I was in my early 40s, we divorced. I won't go into that, but I started dating again, and I was a mess, just a real spiritual mess, trying to get my life back together. I was dating Sally, and I got a call from my daughter, whose husband was in Desert Storm. She had just had a little girl, Megan, and 3 weeks after she was born, she's calling me at work, Daddy, help. I just had to go back to the hospital. They run some more tests on Megan, and she's got multiple sclerosis, and it's serious. They said she'll probably die before she's 5. 3 to 5 is her life expectancy. Help, what do I do? And I said, I'll be right over. I ran in, talked to the Christian lady in the office that was trying to work with me and help me get my life back in order. And she said, Ken, this is serious, but you've always known how to pray for people. You've been well schooled in the Word. Go pray for her. I said, but I'm not in a good place. Well, it's not about you. It's about what Jesus does in your life, and you know how, so go do it. And the needs of your daughter will pull it out of you, and you'll remember what you need to do. So I knocked on the door, go in. She's holding this tiny little infant. What do I do, Daddy? And I said, just be the best mom you can be. That's your job. Let's do our job. You agree with me, and I'm going to pray. I held this little girl. I looked at her. She blinked at me, and it was like, oh my gosh, we're spiritually connected suddenly. She's blinking at me, and I know her personality. I know her inner type, and I said, okay, God, here we go. And suddenly, it was like I was inside of her body, started at the top of her head, and the Holy Spirit said, pray for this, that, and the other in her brain. Her coming down, her pituitary gland was something important. Got down, prayed for this. Spent quite a bit of time in her lungs. I'd asked this lady at work, what's cystic fibrosis? You don't ask that question now. Just pray about cystic fibrosis. So I started praying about clearing up her lungs and prayed a few things. Went to this part. Mostly it was organs. And the Holy Spirit said, you're done. You've done your job. I'll do mine. And all of a sudden, it was like I phased out, and I turned to her. I said, Megan's healed. We just have to follow through on this. And so I left, went home, called Sally, and she said, my neighbor had 3 little kids that were born with cystic fibrosis, and she explained to me that it was a lung disease. Children basically developed liquid they couldn't get rid of, and they drowned to death. And it was terrible. And she said, what will happen if nothing happens? Will Megan still be your daughter? Will she still love you? Is it going to cause trouble? And I said, my job is I have prayed, and it's like I have to own this ground and stand on it. I have to be firm about it. I can't waver. It's like walking a tightrope. So now until it manifests, what I've done works, and I'm sticking by it. The next week, Megan went back to the hospital for more tests, and I knew she was going that day. I was just heading out the door to go, I think, to work to get my check on my day off. And she called and she said, Megan's okay, Daddy. And I said, I told you she's okay. She said, you don't understand. I'm at the hospital. We're down in the basement looking through the electronic microscopes. And what they told me, and the whole big people in the hospital, all the executive boards down here, and one of them's on the National Cystic Fibrosis Board. And he'll talk to you later, but I got to tell you, Daddy, her cystic fibrosis is gone. And I said, how did they know? They said, well, they ran the tests, and the tests showed up negative. They should have showed up positive. So they rushed down here. They went to the electronic microscope. Daddy, her DNA changed. I said, her DNA changed? They said, the DNA that was damaged that caused the cystic fibrosis is brand new. It's healthy. I said, wow. I said, one thing I feel need to tell you, like I had to walk through it this week, you have to walk through it. The enemy's going to try to put lying symptoms on her. You're getting ready to go to Germany to be with your husband, and that's bad weather, and she's going to develop winter issues. And when that happens, don't let the enemy tell you it's cystic fibrosis. You do whatever the Holy Spirit tells you to do, and Megan will be okay. She's a healthy little girl now. Let me talk to the doctor. So he got on and he said, Ken, I've only seen this happen 5 or 6 times in 10 years that I've been on this board, and it's all been from prayer. And I said, wasn't just my prayer. Everybody we knew was praying. He said, but your prayer was the effective prayer that laid hands on her and prayed. I said, okay, I'll take that. How do you know that it happened? He said, her DNA changed. Ken, it's as radical if she was a black baby yesterday and she's a white baby today. So I came home, called Sally, told her. She was excited, run all through her office telling everybody. And that night, about 3 o'clock in the morning, she called me, woke me up, and she said, Ken, I got to talk to you. I got woke up. There's a presence in my bedroom. I realized something just told me I'm supposed to call you and wake you up. I was raised a good Catholic girl, but I want to know the God you know. So I led her through the sinner's prayer, and Sally became a Christian that night. So a multi-level blessing after years of struggling. God restored me, restored my daughter, and I saved a little girl's life and health, and I still have a wonderful relationship spiritually with her. And Sally became a Christian, and we seriously started dating at a different level, and I married her. And now years later, I've raised my family. They've all got grandkids. Megan's got 4. And Sally and I raised a blended family. And I have sweet kids on both sides of the family, and we're living a beautiful life in the Lord. Thank you for that. That's one of my testimonies. Okay. How much time?